When many years had passed after the great flood, new nations, cities, and tribes appeared across the earth. Among them lived a man named Abram, quiet, honest, a man who could sense the voice of God in his heart. He did not seek fame or power. He simply lived a calm, steady life. But one day, everything changed. God spoke to him and told him to leave his homeland, leave everything familiar behind, and go to a land that God himself would show him. It was unclear where he was supposed to go, what awaited him, or why he needed to abandon his entire life, but Abram felt a certainty within, a confidence he had never felt before. He gathered his family, his nephew Lot, his servants, his flocks, and set out on a journey without a map and without a clear destination. Yet, with every step, he felt that he was not walking alone, and the road seemed to open before him. Eventually, they arrived in the land of Canaan. It was a new and unfamiliar place. Hills, green valleys, fields full of life. And there, God made a promise that would change Abram's destiny forever. He told Abram that he would make his descendants into a great nation, as countless as the stars in the night sky. Even though Abram had no children yet, the promise seemed impossible, almost unbelievable, but Abram simply trusted. Life continued, and soon disputes broke out between the shepherds of Abram and the shepherds of Lot. The land was good, but their herds were too many. Pastures and water became points of conflict. To protect peace between them, Abram offered Lot the first choice of land. Lot chose the lush, fertile valley near the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. It looked like a paradise green, bright, full of water, but the people living there were cruel and unjust. Abram stayed in the hills, under the open sky, where the wind moved freely. He didn't complain or envy Lot's choice. He simply continued his life with quiet dignity. And one day, while standing on a hilltop, God spoke to him again, repeating his promise. He told Abram that all the land he could see would belong to his descendants. Abram built a small stone altar there as a sign of gratitude. Soon after, Lot was caught in the middle of a terrible conflict. Several powerful kings attacked the cities of the valley, destroyed them, and carried the people into captivity. When Abram learned that Lot was among the captives, he didn't hesitate. He gathered his trained men, only a few hundred, nothing compared to the armies of the kings, and set out in pursuit. By night, they caught up with the enemy, defeated them, and freed all the captives. Lot returned home, and Abram became known as a man who had the courage to stand against overwhelming power. Afterward, God spoke to Abram again, more intimately than before, as if revealing a deeper mystery. He promised that Abram would have a son, an heir. Even though Abram and his wife Sarai were already old, Abram looked up at the stars, and God said, "Count them if you can. That is how many descendants you will have." And in that moment, Abram believed with all his heart, and this faith became the foundation of everything that would follow. God also revealed that Abram's descendants would one day live in a foreign land where they would suffer under a harsh people, but God promised that he would bring them out with great strength and lead them into the land he was now giving Abram. It was a prophecy of a long journey, one filled with hardship and triumph. To seal his promise, God made a sacred covenant with Abram. Evening fell, the sky darkened, and a deep stillness covered the land. Abram prepared a sacrifice, and as the sun set, thick darkness surrounded him. In that silence, a glowing fire, God's own presence, appeared and passed between the pieces of the sacrifice, showing that God himself swore to fulfill everything he had promised. From that moment on, Abram understood his life was part of a vast, divine story, one he could not yet see in full, but one that was already unfolding with every step he took.